Thursday, the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. And before I get into anything, and I've been trying to be cognitive and study things, analyze things, investigate things, I just want to say it. And maybe I'm going to be a little dramatic and perform, but it's not really performing. It's the state in which I am right now. In the last several hours, I have become hurting physically and I'm angry. And I guess I hate this word, pissed. It's lazy. It's sort of used every day. It's kind of like saying I suck or you suck or that. But when you get into a state of frenzy, and I'm impatient as it is, I constantly interrupt people. And that was a family thing. When I was growing up, it was competition. It was three other siblings, myself, and then there were older people who thought they knew a lot of shit. And I was kind of messed with, beat up, literally. Uh, it was a tragic part of my life growing up. And I was kind of a pain in the ass, kind of like I'm a pain in the ass now, but it got really violent. And it got, excessively kind of claustrophobic in a way and very turbulent, which explains one of the reasons why I'm angry and why I have very little patience. Hell, I'm not even patient with myself, let alone others. And so I've had some issues that came up today in the last few hours. And rather than hold it in and try to do a regular show, I would convey to you in a try to be as regular and try to be as straightforward as possible, all the while giving you something to chew on. But then I thought to myself, why bullshit? Why hold it in? Why be anything other than the way you feel? And I think sometimes I'm not a psychologist, obviously, and I don't like seeing psychologists. I think it's great for people to have shrinks and therapists and to do all that. If it helps you, great. I know people that go to as a social thing to let the therapist in on certain things. By and large, it doesn't help. Okay. It hasn't helped me. I've seen a few therapists along the way. And I'm just being honest because all they do is they sit there and they're paid to hear your ills. They're paid to go over your various ailments. And I'm sort of contradicting myself when I say they don't help me. But I guess in some people, they do provide a necessary means of comfort and all that. But I'm not here for comfort. I am very, very analytical, but I'm angry and I'm down and out impatient with all of you. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit, shall we say, angry, pissed off, hurting. I had this fucking back hit me and I didn't know where it came from. I'm a little better today, but when you combine my anger, my impatience, and I'm also pissed off at the fact that, in the early part of the summer, I lost some weight. And I wasn't really trying, but I was eating better and not going out. And I never really have been going out lately. I've been concentrating here. And I realized that lately, it's a systematic kind of a overall downright angst. And I'm concerned. I really am. I've had some thoughts, some self analyzing thoughts about why am I so pissed off? And I don't mean I'm using that anger to turn against everybody and everything. It's just I'm fed up, first off, with all these fucking people who come into my life and tell me that I should be more positive and more reflective and be a little bit more adroit with the culture. I can't. I'm disgusted with the culture. And this is not one of those just shake down and tell people how much they're fucked up and they're screwed up and they're part of this overall culture that has become drastically marginalized and trivial and bullshitty. This is not one of those. I'm not going to go off on that aspect. It's just that I get angry and frustrated, and when I get this way, I kind of feel as if I somehow should just turn in my card key, metaphorically speaking, and say enough of this shit, to hell with it. And then I'll get the assholes and the trolls who'll come out there and tell me that I should do that. Meanwhile, they're the first fucking people here, and before, when I was writing, telling me, the first in line, what would they do with themselves, kind of a thing. So I'm not going to go that route either, unless something were to happen to me, or something, a God-given deal and all that. And in that regard, I've really kind of looked at life lately and said to myself, how much of this shit can I take anymore? I don't mean to be cryptic or anything like that. I'm just disgusted with pretty much everything. Disgusted with the culture. I'm disgusted with the people. I'm disgusted with the people who tell me that I should be more open. I should be more hip to the culture. No, I don't have to be hip to your fucking culture. I don't have to pretend that I like certain people when I've gone out of my way to really actually say to many of you and institutions and media outlets and all that, life in general, including my own situation, about the fact that when you look and situate yourself, what where is our society going? Everything. I used to lament the fact, I said here that one of the reasons why, as depressed, as out and out funky as I feel, and as fucked up as I feel, internally, externally, otherwise, I talked a lot about my mother. My mother gave me peace and comfort. She raised me. I know many of you have fathers or mothers, because of circumstances in life, that ended up raising you. And my mom was so cool. She was a pain in the ass, an old Brooklyn Jewish mother that took no shit, that was independent to the max. And one of the things that I don't lament, that she passed away, and it's now 6 years, so that she had to put up with this bullshit. I don't know what I would have done, during the pandemic, when you couldn't really hang around old people or elderly people, even if they were cognitive, even if they were lucid and all that, because of the origins and the problems with COVID, because old people tended to have more of the signs and the symptoms and all that. You had a chance to spread them. But one of the only reasons I'm glad she's gone, is the fact that she didn't have to deal with all this bullshit with COVID, the politics and the culture and the lack of taste and the lack of shit that we're all dealing with today. And I'm not giving you this bleak, oh, fucked up kind of a spiel, and I have an outlet here on YouTube. I'm just telling you my state. And so many of these frauds today that you view, you watch, and you see, and you observe, even when you compliment people and you tell them, not necessarily here, but away from the camera and away from the typewriter and your keyboard and all of that. And when you try to project some positivity, they end up knifing you in the back. And it hurts. It hurts because you're trying to distance yourself from various people. I've often said here, I'm not a downer every day. Well, maybe to myself and to you I am, but I look for positive things. In the culture that we live in, the bullshit that we have to coexist with, where we have fucking assholes here on YouTube doing number twos, crapping literally, and they're getting 5 million hits. And woo, how creative. That's our culture. I know I'm over engrossing and I'm kind of over analyzing, but you get my drift. And when you try to go out of your way to appreciate something, a little bit of something minutia that stands out in this culture of shit that we're all engrossed in, you know, it's frustrating and hurtful and all that. I'm hurting on all ends, emotionally, professionally, personally, and all that. And I guess I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I guess I'm trying to keep my head above water because there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And I think I speak for a lot of people who are in that spasm where they see nothing positive and it's bleak. Maybe it's not just their own personal selves. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's their hostile husband or their hostile wife or their turbulence with their brother or sister. Maybe it's an ex girlfriend or an ex wife that came home and spat on them, metaphorically speaking, and shat on them and told them what's going on. And I think a lot of it is the fact of the state of where we're at. Everybody is kind of pissed off. Nobody, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But look at the culture that we're living in right now. I haven't even said anything. I haven't described in detail. I could just say the culture that's out there. And I know I'm over analyzing and I know I'm giving you broad strokes and all that, but I hurt. I hurt. And I don't give a shit if you're going to give me shit that I'm this, that, or the other. I'm because not beholden to anyone or anybody. I know people out there who are faking it. You want to talk about faking it? Who put out this sort of feeling as if everything is okay, and frauds and bullshit artists, they're not okay. And they put on this persona, they put on this sort of aura of self importance, assholes. And believe me, I know an asshole. I'm an asshole at times, but there's a difference. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I long ago gave up on hope. And as I get older and older, and I see what's out there, and I see the people who we're supposed to look at, and some of it not just here, but beyond and everywhere. Again, bear with me. I realize I'm talking in generalities and being somewhat, obtuse. Well, be more specific. No, I don't have to be specific because I'm not after anybody now, or I'm going to go on some kind of a lengthy, roasting of somebody. Look, we're all fucked up. We're all fucked up. This whole goddamn world in which we live in, there is no honor anymore. And I'm not putting myself, by God, on any kind of a pedestal whatsoever. Our media sucks. Our culture sucks. Oh, there's exceptions and all that. You know what I mean. There is not an ounce of ingenuity. There is not an ounce of originality. I put myself in the same category as others. I'm not saying I'm pure or Moses or I'm parting the Red Sea. I have been fucked with, mentally mutilated, even within my own family, of which there is very little left, who have toyed with me and allowed me to come to the part where I'm saying what I'm saying right now and hurting to the max. And maybe I shouldn't have come on. Maybe I should have waited, but I couldn't. I did enough self-reflecting and understood the situation wasn't going to be getting any greener or rosier, because that's just the amount of shit that we're dealing with today. And now we have social media to go out and spew our insignificance, highlight our own fucking being. Some of us have egos beyond the normal ego. And those are the ones you really got to be careful about, folks. They're the most fucked up. And they put on this whole poserness, this shit. I will state categorically, emphatically, I've understood, present tense. I understand my being right now. We're all part of this, that big spear. And yes, I'm going overly philosophical for a reason, because in my whole mishigas, as my mother would have said, Yiddish for craziness, my spiritualness, which is now vastly empty, in which I have tried to be positive, which I have tried to highlight people and things and entities for their profound whatever and to be positive, then I see shit and deal with shit, whether it's on a text, whether it's right here, whether it's on a screen. It's all bullshit. Look at the world in which we're in today. I don't have kids. If I did, I don't know how I'd raise them today. And the phoniness and the amount of posers that are out there, and people who think their self-worth is weighted in the fact that they got lucky and found a niche and found a partner, somebody to pay him vast millions and millions of dollars. Some of them are very talented. They are good for them, but they go on and on and on and on when they ain't got anything other than the fact that they got lucky and maybe they can spin a tale or sing a song or go out there and get public with football players and shit like that. And I'm not going after one specific person. Everybody, we're all guilty. We are. The Pope, Mother Teresa, rest in peace, rabbis, plumbers, lawyers, doctors, politicians, people, spouses, women, men, all men. Yeah, there's a few pure people out there, but even they quietly in their house go after flies and take the wings off and shit like that. The ones that really, really make me hurt. And sometimes I get angry and upset and go after all of them, tell them how fucked up they are. Epithet intended, underline. We have lost our self being. I would love it. I would love it if somebody out there spoke out in the open and explained their own fragility and the fact of how little how little the proverbial breadcrumbs that we all are in this entire planet. Once again, I repeat, I'm getting vastly overindulgent in my words and expressing outrage and sadness and disgust. And I am angry and I am upset. And you're going to call me this and call me that because it's difficult now. Because a lot of us out there, and there are so many people that are hurting, people that are upset, and I'm not making excuses for all the people out there that are upset. I know there's a great degree of sadness and a lot of you out there everywhere. You don't know where to go. And you hurt and you're upset and you feel empty. Lots of yes, even the successful ones who even have family and support mechanisms and all that. But even those people, when they're not with friends or family or whomever and they're out, and I don't mean to hurt anybody, and I know that I've been hurtful to a lot of people, indirectly and directly, because I know a lot of people out there have been hurt, which is ridiculous in and of itself. I'm a fucking guy with a mouth and weird, stupid glasses who couldn't get laid now if he was in a woman's prison with a fistful of pardons. We all inflate our worth. And we forget the fact that, like I said, we're little fucking moleculic entities on this big spear. And any time now, any moment, we could be just like that. I'm no doctor. I'm no philosopher. I hurt. My heart is broken, so to speak, because of a variety of things. And I care. I guess that's one of the things. I care and I'm upset and I hurt. And sometimes I just want to say, fucking stop it. Let's start over. And that includes everything. And this is not a relationship, although that hit me like a lead years ago when I realized my own self worth. And I had a pity party and I discovered that not everybody can do what I did and fuck up royally like I usually do. And by talking and by sitting down and expressing whatever we had to express and have to express, I've come to the conclusion that we don't, myself included, we don't sit down and understand how fragile we all are. And that includes everybody. Some have bigger little pets than others. Some have bigger cars and mansions and this, that, and the other, and a largesse of people and people who care and those who don't care. But we're all, that's the one thing we have in common, but we don't see it or acknowledge it. And we should. We should. Because we're not seeing it now. And it's upsetting. And it's upsetting because when it push comes to shove, who the fuck cares about this, that, or the other? What you have, what that you have, your 401k, or your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or what have you, or this gig, or that gig, or who's in, who's out, who loves whom, who's fucking whom, literally and figuratively. Maybe we should take a breather, a collective breather, and figure it out. I know some of us don't have that way because we're all too busy doing this and that and forgetting the very fact that our breathing, we're one little fucking beat away from being non existent. And I want to be clear about something. We should all, the few of us around, don't take life for granted. Stop, for God's sakes, and understand it's a privilege to breathe a little bit, you know? Who gives a fuck about most of the shit that we concentrate on, that we're so embedded with, means fucking nothing. And I'm angry and animated now because we don't get it. I don't get it. I put myself not higher than you or lower than you. I put myself on the same fucking rank there as to what and who I'm criticizing right now. I'm no better than you or worse. I decided to come out and talk like this, and I've hinted at this, but I've not beholden to anybody. Nobody's fucking with me or ruling me. I don't kiss ass. Oh, I tried to many a times. That didn't do any good. Thankfully, in a way, it was probably best that I experienced the shit that we have all experienced. And some of us get upset, we get frustrated, and we do stupid things and all that that we'll regret later on. But at least you've got a family, at least you've got a support mechanism, at least you have some degree of a backfall. I understand a lot of you don't. And you're frustrated and you're angry and you're upset and you're miserable. And you get to a point where you don't know how to cope. And it sucks. And you feel lost. And you feel heartbroken. Which dictates a lot of the shit that's taking place today. And it's upsetting. And you shake your head. You wonder how deep, how shit that engulfs all of us, how we have sunken to this. I used to say quite a bit, I wish I was born in the 40s. I wish I was born when my mom was born and at least got to deal with life when things seemed to be a lot more cool. People were civilized and the culture was better. People cared. We didn't have the shit that we're dealing with today in this fucked up world. Quote me. And worrying about shit that really doesn't matter and bullshit. And I'm not talking about politics necessarily. It's everything. Everything. And don't ridicule me and all this, that, and the other because I'm going off. I'm just expressing the degree of emptiness and angst that I feel. And I think I speak for a lot of people who don't have the wherewithal to go out and talk because they're too busy about their little gig at 3 o'clock where they got to do this or that. They got to perform when they themselves are all fucked up. Nothing wrong with that. We're all fucked up. Fubard, yeah, Fubar. We're all fucked up beyond all recognition. Some of us less than others, which enables us to do the shitty little trivial shit that we do. Nobody should be on a pedestal. Nobody has earned the right, including the Pope or your rabbi or your priest or your doctor or whatever. We're all pretty much fucked up. And you might say, well, speak for yourself. No, I'm not going to speak for myself. I understand that regard. As I said, we all need to have a collective sit down and a breather and reenact a reset, a mother of all resets. And then do what? I don't know. It's fucked up in a world in which we live when we have to see fucking Bill Maher tell us how we should live. And he's our patron saint these days. Frauds like that fucker with his goddamn cloak cigarette, the asshole that he is. And he's going to tell us every fucking 5 minutes that he smokes dope and drinks fucking whiskey. Oh my God. Yeah, Bill fucking Maher. That fucking prick. Well, fuck you, Maher. Quote me. And all the other morons that we look up to today. Everybody. That's the world in which we live when we have fucking frauds like Bill Maher telling us, being our so-called Walter Winchells and all that. We long ago lost our own sense of realness. You know, we should look up to the common man, the common woman, the ones who go out of their way to earn a living and to put bread on the table and to have not a negative bone or something egotistical in their body, who just, they're not famous, they're not rich, they earn a living and they do what they do and they don't look for fucking YouTube chat shows. And I know I'm being somewhat contradictory and hypocritical, so be it, I am. But it's the only mechanism to which I could profess the amount of disgust and personal hurt that has engulfed and invaded my body and my psyche today. And I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, so be it. But at least I was sincere and pure about it. I have nothing other to worry about in that regard because I'm not auditioning for something where I have to be kiss ass to somebody. I have made mistakes in my life. I continue to make mistakes. I am no Boy Scout. I am a very, very flawed person, to which you might say, no shit, Sherlock. And I would agree. And what prompted this was the fact that those of you that had siblings or parents that are no longer with us, that lived in an earlier culture when our society seemed to be a lot more pure and relevant and honest, and people weren't posers, and hardly anybody was worrying about doing well to kiss ass to some fucking asshole who cheats on his wife and drinks way too much, and some bigwig on Wall Street or something of that matter. Fuck them and the world in which we live in today. Those are the geniuses that are telling us what we should look at, what we should be, and they include everybody. Nobody is fucking immune. And I get angry and upset about it because they're the so-called ones who are telling us how to lead our lives. And it's hurting. And yes, I hurt. I've had a collective hurt for years now. And I've been depressed for years now. It's a clinical depression, which, by definition, you operate and you exist and you do things and you're able to function, but all the while your heart is broken. And I've had a broken heart for years now. It's not something. It's not a relationship. It's everything. And you lose focus and you lose sight. And in some ways, you lose hope. And you try to cope and you try to smell the air, and it engulfs you and it kicks you down, and you don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And then you have to kind of operate, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's just fate. Fate has sort of overtaken you, and maybe it's just not in the cards. Growing up, I used to talk to my mom. And my mom was this Jewish lady from Brooklyn. And she was with me through thick and thin. And she told me things. She even put me down at times. Says, get a fucking life. She did. All along those saying in the back, you could see she cared about me. And she was there like all of your mothers and your fathers, or most of you. And she taught me that don't go for the razzmatazz and all the shit and the mistletoe. Take care of yourself and be honest with yourself. We have such little time, folks. So true. I want to emphasize again, I'm not preaching. I'm not going to tell you to go find Christ or this or, the Talmud or what have you. This is an equal opportunity bitch and moan and reflection. But my mom had it right. We worry too much about shit that don't mean anything. Who gives a fuck about Taylor Swift? Now, God bless her, and I love Taylor Swift. It's just a reflection of the times that we're in and all the shit that we worry about and care about that means absolutely nothing. And yes, they give us a little bit of enjoyment and enlightenment and all that, but we worry about shit and concentrate on shit that doesn't mean anything, myself included. I'm just as guilty looking at shit like Page Six and Twitter and X and all the Instagram shit that we all look at every now and then, and we worry about that and all that. We don't even take the time to sit down and fucking care and give a damn about shit that counts, not about the shit that's just a piece of crap and minutia. It's not even minutia. It's minutia than that. Nobody is bigger than others. We're all the same. We're all in the same boat. Nobody is having a free ride. And literally, nobody's having a free ride or anything like that. We all count in that regard. But I said this earlier, and I mean it. I know a lot of you out there. There's a lot of people out there that have no hope, that are feeling deprived, that are feeling flawed and hurt and angry and upset and don't know what to do and don't know where to go and have no support mechanism and have been made to feel like morsels and little pebbles and rocks and things of that nature. And they're the ones who are suffering the most, myself included. Relax. I hate that term, but it's true. Sit back, enjoy what you have. And if you feel lost, and if you have misgivings and you're feeling down and out, I'm there with you. I know it hurts. But you have a family, and there are people that do care. When you're alone and when you feel that you have no hope, it hurts. And you cry and you reflect. You try to think to yourself what it would have been like if circumstances were different and all that. Look, I don't want to lead you to believe that I'm doing this crypticness shit right now. Relax. I'm fine. Somewhat. It's all collective. It's things that build up and they kind of hit ahead. And some of us wouldn't dare try this. I don't recommend it on the manner in which it's done sometimes because we're all worried about certain things like I said, jobs and kissing ass to our bosses and doing things and having to make sure that things are done so that we can bring bread and put it on the table and take care of our family, our kids, and all that. So we put that aside and we try to make it seem like everything's fine and dandy when it's not. And I feel for the people like that. And I also feel for people that don't have family or support, don't have the means to get the help that they need and all that, and have become and are disgusted with everything. You get to that point. One of the things about media, which I've lamented here from day one when I was writing, when I was doing this, is, sometimes the littlest of things could be so huge. They do all these fucking town halls on shit that don't matter, or this guy, that woman, that guy, this mayor, that politician. How about you do a 2-hour town hall? CNN, Fox, Newsmax, Sky News, the world, local television stations on this mental health and talk about people and talk to the experts and doctors and discuss real shit like the fragility in our mind and the fact that we've come to this kind of state in our lives. And I'm not just talking about me where we need help, but we need to talk about it. We need people that care and have the means to discuss the shit that truly does matter. Not who's fucking whom, not who's this, that, not people who had to move from their house in San Francisco to somewhere else, but people who are on the edge and need help. And maybe by turning on that boob or their computer or what have you, could watch a 2-hour special on mental health. And you set up a number to where people can call and be right there. And don't tell me that what already happens. No, they don't do shit like this. Maybe other countries, but not here. Maybe that would be a first step. Maybe only then would we have some collection of civility that we clearly need. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree or disagree. I'm just throwing it out there. That's a real town hall. When you do something that means something that could really help somebody, mental health. There are a lot of fucked up people out there who put on a persona, a good persona. They're trying to get by, but they hurt. They hurt. They're faking it. They're faking it because they have to have the means to take care of their family and all that. And look, folks, I have said this and done this only because I'm not the only one out there. And because I'm not beholden and not because I'm looking to be a hero or anything like that, please strike it. I'm saying it because as long as I'm here right now, it needs to be stated. There are people out there who hurt and are upset and have just no way to go. And we can do a lot more. Hell, we could do something would be a lot more. Instead, once again, we are fixated on the shit that doesn't mean shit. Really, look at it. Look at your own self and all that. And even those of you, oh, I'm just hunky dory and got this, I'm making 200 grand and happy, and my dog is great, my wife's fucking great, and all that. Yeah, yeah. Until one day when it's not that great. And when people are out there and when you can look in their eyes and you can see things that don't tell the misery, the angst, the anxiety that you're in, that they're in. And fuck people like, again, Bill Maher is supposed to be our goddamn mantra, our go-to. An asshole. And I don't have a vendetta against Bill Maher. I'm just using him as one of the posers. The supposed guy who tells us every fucking 5 minutes that he smokes marijuana. Like we give a shit, eh? And he's the culture king right now. We're going to live up to fucking Bill Maher, which in and of itself is a tragedy. I digress. I'm going to continue, as long as I'm around, God willing, to do what I do and treat it in the manner in which it is in reality. It's insignificant as I get by, and you don't need me to tell you what is pretty much the obvious state of which we're in. But I thought I would at least talk about it now because that's the manner and that's the state I'm in. And I'm not regretting it whatsoever. I'm just merely saying it because I don't have to worry about auditions or whether or not I'm going to be considered to do commentary for CNN or be on a panel with Bill fucking Maher. And by the way, which I couldn't because I'm not gay or black or a woman who's Asian or a guy with glasses who talks shit like James Carville. I don't fit that agenda, that kind of uh, clientele to which Bill Maher likes to put people on his panel. I'm just giving you me, Rich Lieberman. Flawed man, flawed individual, a guy with a fucked up head who wears glasses that he constantly touches, is infinitely nervous and anxious, not the sexiest looking guy on the tube, but is frank. Is no better than anybody else, nor worse. So I did a little mantra, a little showbiz, if you will, with the intention of saying to those out there, nobody is better than anybody else. Well, maybe a few, but you get my drift. And those that have come here and offered support and have always been there, and you know who you are. And even those of you who don't, who have ridiculed me and belittled me and hurt me, perhaps the implication is that I've hurt others in my doings of late. I'm thankful to have you, and at least you listening to me, all within the realm of my overt negativity and being upset. Just realize we're all in it together, so to speak. Well, at least some of us are. But I want to thank you folks. Even the folks who've given me shit, like I see some over here on the chat line, the super chat. Um, good afternoon. Um, There's so many of you, I can't comment here because I'm, trying to see everybody, but all of you, I'm looking right now. It's the people named Sarah and John and chat room and, you know, and the women all and the men and all that. I'm just relieved that I actually said what I've been meaning to say for a long time. And I know some of it doesn't make sense, but consider the source, right, folks? Okay. And I'm going to try to be back later today. It's Thursday. This is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. And yes, I'm pissed, but what else is new, right? So, everything. Go out, get a nice turkey sandwich, get a bottle of ginger ale, hopefully zero sugar, and get it off your chest. And as Billy Joel always says, don't let the bastards get you down.